Hi, ako po si Michelle Zavala. I'm 39 years old. Nagtapos po ako ng nursing sa Pilipinas, sa Angeles City, Pampanga. And since then po, nag-work na ako as a nurse. 5 po kami magkakapatid. Ako po yung bunso. Hindi po ako lumaki sa mother and father ko po. So, kaya lumaki po talaga ako sa lola ko, sa mga tiyahin ko. Bali, ano po kasi ako, half Filipina. Tas yung father ko po is American. Pero, lumaki po ako sa Pilipinas. Nung bata po ako, pangarap ko po na maging doktor, ganun. O kaya maging, flight attendant. Pero nung lumalaki na po, naalala ko, yung po kasing tita ko, lumaki din po kasi ako sa isa ko pong tiyahin. Ano po siya, BHW, yung barangay health worker. So, pag may free time ako, tinitignan ko yung mga books niya. Tsaka meron siya yung mga ringgilya, yung tawag din, syringe, ganun. So, naging doon na po na ano yung attention ko, yung interest ko. Likas naman na po kasi sa atin talaga yung caring sa mga Filipino. Talagang tender, loving care. Pangarap po ng tiyahin ko na maging nurse. So, ako po yung, kumbaga, parang nakapagtuloy. Kasi noong araw po, mahirap yung buhay. Hindi ka naman po basa-basa makakapag-aral ng nurse. Nung nag-aral po ako ng college, during college, talaga, it was my dream nga po na pumunta dito sa Amerika para makita ko po yung nanay ko. Yun po yung nag-motivate sa akin. 2019, wala na po yung nanay ko, dapat mag-meet kami dito. Masaya pa rin po ako dahil naituloy ko yung pangalan, and I'm sure they are proud of me and happy po sila para sa akin. I think everyone, meron po tayong mga purpose in life. Yung pong sa akin talaga is yung family din, katulad ng iba. Maaring iba lang, medyo iba po yung kwento ko po dahil nandito yung nanay ko po. Yun po yung po sa akin motivate talaga na i-pursue yung career na ito kasi alam ko po na opportunity po nagbibigay po dito sa Amerika para sa mga nurses. And ito po din po yung nakita ko na pathway para po makita ko po at makasama ko yung nanay ko. Kahit na po hindi na tuloy, na hindi ko na po naabutan yung nanay ko dito, pero I'm sure na proud din po siya sa akin dahil nakarating din po dito. Ang mapapayo ko po sa mga kapwa ko nurses na nasa Pilipinas po is gawin po yung mga kailangan pong gawin and to never quit po, never stop po. I'm sure marami pong mga hurdles na darating struggle. Basta po nakafocus po to always pray din po. And for sure, ma-achieve din po yan. Basta never stop po and believe in yourself po. I'm thankful and forever grateful po for Greendoor na nag-open na sa akin ng door na ngayon po nandito na ako. Dreams do come true talagang, lalo na if you're with the right people that will help you and add more to your life po. Ito na rin po talaga yung passion ko and yun po, maging nurse, and it makes me happy. Alam naman po talaga sa atin na hindi po ganun kalaki yung sweldo ng nurse, pero marami pa rin pong talagang katulad ko din, speaking for myself, na tinutuloy pa rin po yung nurse kasi it's a very noble profession po and very rewarding.
Hello everyone, wherever you are, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to Kumustahan with Atty. Carmen here in Greendoor. My name is Julie and I am your moderator for today. This is going to be a fun discussion with the guests that we have. And of course, the guests you see right here on your screen. Before anything else, please make sure to heart react, share the video, comments. If you have questions directed to Atty. Carmen or to any of our guests here, please feel free to drop your comments below. We will read them for you. Now, allow me to introduce self-introduction. I'll start here with Ms. Carril. We will introduce ourselves with our guests and of course, lastly, Atty. Carmen. Ms. Carril, please introduce yourself to our live stream audience.
Hi, good day everyone. I am Carol from Nurse Pro, and we are in partnership with Greendoor. We handle ethics applications, we assist with the visa screen, IELTS, and also the licensing endorsement.
Thank you, Ms. Carril.
Hello, I'm Therese. I'm a nurse. I have practice here in the Philippines and have practice also in the US.
Thank you, Ms. Therese. And lastly,
Hi everybody.
Hi everybody, my name is Mark. I'm one of Greendoor's nurses, and I'm going through my application in employment in the US.
and of course, last but not the least, our founder of Greendoor, Atty. Carmen Villam. Or Atty. Carmen, please say hi to your friends, to your family, to your fans.
Oh my
Watching
goodness.
on streaming live right now.
Mayong buntag, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our friends, nurses all over the world. Happy to be here in Cebu. Thank you so much to our Cebu team, first and foremost, before we forget, for setting this up. I don't know if I'm just speaking for myself, Julie, but I feel a little nervous. Yes, because we have so many cameras. Usually I just go on Zoom and speak on Zoom.
Yes.
But our Cebu team has challenged us
With many cameras.
with many cameras in front of us. So thank you to everyone. And before I forget, I also want to say thank you to Michelle. You saw that video.
Yes, the video. I actually really like the video. It's very inspiring, her story. She started here. I think everyone on stream saw the video. I like when she mentioned dreams to come true when you're with the right people. So it was a very pleasant experience for her with your attorney because she's so happy with where she's now in the US. But what's very important right now, attorney, with Kumustahan with Atty. Carmen is for our nurses who are watching right now, they would like to know, they want their dreams to come true, but of course there are hurdles
Yes.
that come about. Now, I'm not a nurse, but I am familiar with the term retrogression. And I think that's what we are going to be talking about today. And most of the nurses are curious about it. So, retrogression. Attorney, what is retrogression? To be honest, when I heard retrogression, I thought it's disco music. Retro. But then, obviously, it's not. It's something that most of the nurses dread. Please enlighten me and the rest of our streamers who's also not familiar with it.
Yes. When we talk about retrogression, we really have to start by looking at the visa bulletin. And all our nurses here, I think, are familiar with the visa bulletin. Warning though, looking at the visa bulletin, it's really a whole seminar altogether. It's very complicated. So we're trying to narrow it and really simplify it today. Okay? This one? They don't like this mic.
The audio is okay. Thank you, everyone. We've got a lot of comments. Thank you so much. Hello, attorney. We're watching from Shenkat. I am sorry if I can't pronounce it well.
Minot. Oh, they're in
Thank
Minot.
you for the correction, attorney.
Yes, a
I know
Minot
what
is
to do.
where one of our hospitals.
Yes, that's
Yes,
from
and that's where
Shen.
Mark is going.
Oh, Minot.
Minot, North Dakota.
So I hope we are heard well now.
Are we
I hope
okay?
it's clear. Can we have some comments? Good morning, low volume.
Low volume. There.
Thank you so much, everyone. Oh, dito pala, I'm sorry. I'm so used to video conference doing this. Okay, can we check your, this is his mic. I'd like to know if this mic is good as well. No sound?
This is good. Okay.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Please comment below where you guys are watching from. Why not I'm watching here? That's the camera pala. Please feel free to comment where you guys are watching from. Watching from Doha, Qatar. Helen, Leah.
Yes. Hi, Helen. Helen is also one of our nurses.
Wow!
Yes.
Hi, Helen! Attorney Carmen says hi as well. She's here. Ayan. More comments, everyone. Please feel free to comment down below where you guys are watching from. Si Attorney,
Hello.
po yung naririnig yung mind po. Watching from Hawaii, Arman Mejia.
Oh, hi, Arman. How are you? It's nice to see you here.
Aloha,
Yes,
Arman.
he's also one of our nurses. Is the mic okay now? I think so. Okay, all right. Let's
Yes.
start with the visa retrogression.
Visa Retrogression. So I think audio is good. I hope it goes through to all our streamers right now. We'll proceed about Visa Retrogression. Yes,
Yes.
Attorney, please proceed.
Okay, when we are talking about visa retrogression, we have first to discuss the visa bulletin. Okay, all our nurses know this. Three things that you need to remember. The visa bulletin is a report that is issued every month by the Department of State, and it contains the dates which will give you a general idea of when you can go to the final stage. Remember, we talked about this, the final stage of the green card process, which is the interview at the consulate for those who are outside the country, or if you're inside the US, then the adjustment of status. So three things for the visa bulletin. It is monthly, it is issued by the Department of State, and it will give you the cut-off dates for the application of your visa. So those are the three things that you need to remember. I would like to add also that the visa bulletin only pertains to the immigrant visa, the green cards. So Mark, it doesn't include H-1B visas, yeah. It also doesn't include the TN visas for Canadians. Those are not part of the visa bulletin. That's why, for example, Arman, who said hi earlier, he is already in Hawaii. The reason is that on a green card, on a TN, he's able to come to the US right away, not affected by this retrogression because they have special non-immigrant visas for Canadian nurses. Okay.
So this is for immigrants.
Yes, so the retrogression pertains only to the green cards, which is applicable in general to all Filipinos. Okay.
Question number
Yes.
for me, I know that there are dates that they share. Do these dates change, or that's final, the dates that they show?
I will discuss this later, Joel. That's a good question. Just hold off on it.
Yeah.
But it is monthly. Diba? So every month there is a visa bulletin that comes out.
So that's something that we will check.
Yes,
Mga nurses keep checking on it on a regular basis, monthly.
monthly.
Miss Carol, I'd like to share this question to you. How is this in terms of licensing about retrogression? Can you share like the challenges?
So with the retrogression, it only affects the licensing when they have their employer waiting. Technically, it doesn't really affect you how you process the license. It only affects you validity of the license.
Okay.
So if they already have their license, it's only valid for a certain amount of years, depending on the state. If they are affected by the retrogression, sometimes we have applicants that the license expires.
Right.
So we do advise them that, depending on the state, if they don't need a social security number, they can renew it anytime,
Right.
so long as the state allows them to. But it's a different topic when the state requires a social security number. They have to be there, or they have to acquire the social security number first before they can renew the license. So we do advise our applicants to renew their license 6 months to 3 months prior to the expiration, since it's they have to acquire requirements again, or they would have to require the school documents, criminal background checks.
So those are, of course, there's a lot of requirements for that one. Nurse Pro US will be able to help us as well through Greendoor as well. So with our guests here right now, we know Miss Therese was able to experience retrogression, and Mark is currently experiencing retrogression. Before we go
That's
to you,
correct.
Miss Therese, What's the feeling right now experiencing retrogression, Mark? So that Ms. Therese can give you advices.
For my opinion, retrogression for me has affected my employment in the States because I always thought that I would be in the States by now. But because of retrogression, things have kind of been held back. But, I don't really think much of it because it's not something under my control. So I just kind of have to make do with what time I have and the opportunities that aren't and are given to me. So for now, I've been working, just trying to acquire a lot of financial help for my transition to the States.
So right now it's a waiting game for Mark.
That's correct, yeah.
So if I may ask, how long is the waiting game so far right now? Would you recall?
I'm not sure how long it's been, but I think it's been like a couple months.
Couple of months.
Yeah,
but
right.
it's a good thing you're keeping yourself busy. It will help you financially as well. But we'll get some tips from Ms. Therese, who has experienced retrogression before. Can you care to share to our viewers and to Mark as well some tips? We also have a question here on the live stream, but let's start with Ms. Therese's answer. What's your tip for Mark for those going through retrogression right now?
Okay, about retrogression, many of us who work here and abroad have also experienced retrogression over the years. It's always been there, Atty, right? So, one has to be patient because this is really beyond anybody's control. The nurse, the recruiters. It's correct. I think Attorney will eventually later explain how this thing goes about.
Right.
So just to be patient and not to lose hope. And this might take years. Yeah. For me, I was in a retrogression way back in the early 2000.
14.
We waited
For years.
for years. I waited for 5 years.
That's
6
long,
years.
Ms.
Yes.
Therese. Oh.
And in that span of time, we could do so many things. Like continue working, I guess. We have to continue.
Number
working.
one tip, continue working lang muna.
So when you continue working, you could preferably work in the health industry, health related, because so many nurses, we could work in other industries as well, not hospitality or whatever.
Yeah.
So continue working, just be patient, not to lose hope. And also, there's the opportunity that the attorney will advise us on this. We could actually work in other countries in the meantime. So like my friends, they went to the Middle East for 2 to 3 years. Others went to the UK for another 2 to 3 years. Australia, New Zealand. And they continue to check on the visa bulletin while they're working abroad. And once their priority date comes nearer, then they prepare. I mean, the preparation has been ongoing, but they have an idea if they're now approaching the priority date.
So the waiting game, the waiting period, you have enough time as nurses, like for Mark's case, you have enough time to prepare for that big dream.
Well,
Tama.
I'd like to add.
Yes, attorney.
And I will present something later. But retrogression throughout the years, if I show the historical context of this, it's always been there. Why? Because the US Congress allots a certain number of visas worldwide and for each country. So the immigrant visa numbers are not unlimited. They are limited.
Oh.
And so if the demand for the visa outpaces the visas that are available, then retrogression happens. Okay? So that's what happens. And how does the government do this? They look at the number of applicants per month. Yeah? And then they look at if you have an applicant, that applicant comes with a spouse or children. And so they have to count all of these.
Right, it's like their control measure.
Yes.
No.
So that's why they compute that every month. And then, as I said, if the demand outpaces the supply, then the retrogression happens.
Right.
So that's what happens. So, can I share something?
Yes,
more?
please do, attorney.
All right, so hang on.
While attorney is preparing the slides, we have here, let me read through, Janet Redona watching from Qatar. Hello.
So
From Dubai. Ayan. Yes,
Nice.
attorney.
So Janet is also one of our nurses.
Oh.
So going back to what you mentioned, Therese, a lot of our nurses are waiting outside of the Philippines. They have to find work somewhere else where they can provide for their families, improve their skills.
So these
Yeah.
are, as you mentioned, Mr. Reese, they're still in different countries waiting.
For their visas.
Got it. So we also have here Den, Jessel, Day Aligno from KSA. Hi, attorney watching from Toronto, Canada. Trisha Chavez Pobocan. And Glenn
Trisha.
Fontanilla watching from North Dakota.
Yes. Hi, Glenn. Trisha, hi. How are you? Trisha is also Canadian, and I'm waiting for you, Trisha. You said you're coming in November, so hopefully you can come and join us soon in the US. So, Annie, is the screen ready? Okay. So, this is what I talked about. This is the visa bulletin, and there you can see it. Okay. So, this is the visa bulletin in July 2024. This is a very complex document, but I will simplify it and just focus on the nurses.
Yeah, it does
Okay.
look complex,
All right.
attorney.
So every month it's issued. Three, and then it's different categories under EB3. There's the Philippines, Mexico, India. These are the three countries historically maraming immigrants, not just nurses. So that's why we have our special place.
So, attorney, if I may ask, this portion right here. This is very important for us nurses to look at. This
Yes.
right here, right now. The table there.
Yeah, so you look at EB3, employment-based preference cases, and then look at the third category right there, and then look under Philippines if you're in the Philippines. If you're not from the Philippines, you're not Mexico, China, India, then you look at all charges of all other areas of chargeability. See that? Now, why are we panicking a little bit? We are panicking a little bit because between July and June, last month, June, and July this month, we moved backwards by more than 1 year. So a lot of our nurses, and that's why we are here talking, because a lot of our nurses are very worried because instead of the dates moving forward, it moved backwards. Were you worried, Mark?
I didn't understand how
Yes.
the actual retrogression worked, and when people said the dates moved back, I didn't really know what that meant.
If you'd be worried or what?
Yeah,
Right.
Yes.
But
Yes.
now I'm a little worried.
Now he's worried, attorney. At first, I'm good.
That's why you need to have the attitude of just going with the flow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you said this is not within your control.
It's not.
But at the
Exactly.
same time, that's why we're here. It's good that you understand.
Yeah.
Because this is your life, and then you kind of are able to plan when you're going to sell your car, Mark. I know you drive a nice car in Cebu. Or, when you're gonna, so how much time you have to accumulate your baon to the US. So this guides, the visa bulletin guides the government because the NBC will schedule when your interview is based on this, and it also guides us in preparing for moving to the States. Make
So
sense?
currently, attorney, we're moving a year back. That's what you
Yes,
mentioned.
but I will show you later.
Sige.
But that's not really something that's surprising because in the the month before June, there was already a little warning at the bottom of the Annie, if you can show it all the way down, there's a warning there. See? Letter D, not that Annie.
It's like a disclaimer, attorney.
Yeah, visa bulletin, go back to all the way to the bottom.
So do we have that disclaimer?
Yes.
In
all the
most
way to
of the
bottom.
bulletins?
Yes, all the way to the bottom. There. All the way.
Like a fine print.
A little bit excited about letter D.
Letter D.
There.
D as in dog. There it is.
Retrogression in the employment-based EB3 category.
Mhm.
The Department of State says here, there's just so many applications.
Yeah.
So they're tightening a little bit. Okay. And this is what they said in June. Okay, the supply is tight. So we may have to retrogress a little bit further. I'm sure you guys, that's not what you want to hear from me, but I will always tell you the truth.
Yeah, of
Right?
course.
So it's gonna tighten a little bit. In fact, it may go to unavailable, but in October, the new visa numbers will come because the fiscal year for USCIS is October, every October. So they will release those new visas.
Okay.
Yes. And then come October, it will, and I'm hoping, I'm an eternal optimist,
Right.
in October, it will probably not be current, but it will move forward. Okay? So that is the visa bulletin. You have questions for me? As I
Attorney,
said, this is complicated, but I'm trying to explain.
we have a question here from Glenn. I'd like to read his
Hello.
question. For attorney, what's the difference between column A, final action dates, versus column B, dates for filing? That's
Okay.
from Glenn.
Glenn, I know you always try to understand things, but I'm trying to simplify things here. Number one is let's always look at final action, okay? Because that's a date where the NVC for our nurses outside of the US, that's the time that they will schedule you for the, when your priority date reaches the cutoff dates here, then they will schedule you for the interview. So always use the what is it I say? The final action date. Now, the date of filing, you can use it sometimes if you are within the United States and you're trying to adjust status. Then sometimes USCIS will say, for purposes of those in the US, you can use the filing, the date for filing. But normally, always use the final action. Good question, Gwen. Because again, he is always studying and learning. He's already,
That's good.
Yes. An
So
expert.
that's one thing that people might also ask. Please fire away your questions here
Yes,
and our comments down below.
Oh,
Yes.
Attorney, I actually had a question.
Yes.
Now knowing that retrogression might even be pushed further and I have to wait longer, I'm worried about my employer because, I talked to my employer, Trinity, earlier this year, and, we went through the process of hiring and for me to like arrive in the US, or
Yes.
what if they change their minds?
That is such an excellent question, Julie and Mark. You know why? That's also a question of Therese. A lot of our nurses are very nervous because what if the employer cannot wait for them?
Yes.
Yes. So that's part of my job. It's not an easy job, but we will always pick employers who are there to stay.
Mm.
Yes. In fact, before I left for Cebu, an employer called me, the one in New Mexico, and said, Carmen, I have 10 nurses that are slated to come from New Mexico, and with this retrogression, are you sure that they are still wanting to come to the US? So the fear and the worry goes to both sides of the
Right.
equation. The employers are worried,
Yep.
and I know the nurses are also worried.
Yeah.
So part of my job is to make sure that we are constantly communicating with all sides
Yes.
to make sure that everyone is warm.
Mm-hmm.
A little nervous is okay, but not too nervous. As I said, I'm going to tell the truth always. If an employer is not, to me, is questionable, I will let you know for sure, Mark. But Trinity is a solid hospital. It's they have more than 3,000 employees, maybe 4,000. They absolutely need nurses in North Dakota. They've already spent so much money, to be honest, to process all these nurses. So I don't think that they're going anywhere. They can't wait for you to join them. Right? Glenn maybe can share also.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
It's a good thing we have attorney to check on, not just on us. I know attorney checks on us frequently, but also checks on the employers. So to all our nurses, Greendoor nurses, you're in safe hands talaga with attorney Carmen. Attorney, there are questions here in our comment
But
section.
let me just add.
Mhm.
Therese asked me before because at one point she is a veteran of retrogression.
Veteran of... I like the new description of Ma'am Therese, veteran of
Yes,
retrogression.
and you have two past employers, right, Therese? Your first employer before you were finally able to go to the States.
Mm.
The first employer backed out. Yeah.
Whoa. Can you share the experience, Ma'am Therese?
Well,
Don't scare them, Therese, okay?
they call it they use the word abandon, so we were called the abandoned nurses
Oh.
after a grand party hosted by the employer to celebrate our packet one attorney, meaning our
They were already at
I-140 was
Mm.
approved, so a grand party was as a celebration.
Mhm.
And after that, unfortunately, we were just after the party, maybe a few weeks after, we were just told that that's it. That
Oh.
he cannot continue because
So-
there was a retrogression, and well, they have made choices to do other sort of business because it
That's like the
costs
worst
them.
case scenario,
Yeah.
but it's a good thing.
But
Greendoor's
on
here
our
to check
end-
on us.
But you can also look at it on
Mm.
the other side. We lost an employer,
Right?
but we also had an approved I-140 petition. So, there will always be other employers around, attorney,
Yes,
right?
So that's a good point.
Yes, attorney.
If you have already an approved I-140, you can use the filing date
Mm.
of that approved I-140 for the next petition. So you
Oh.
don't really go back to the original place that you were in.
So not ground zero na ang
Not
start.
ground zero.
It's a good thing you're starting
Well,
somewhere
we don't
na.
wanna do that
Yeah,
because,
of course.
We always hope an employer will push through.
Ayan. Attorney, let's go to the fireside chat. The questions that we have. From Randy Boots. Hi, attorney. Good morning. Does this affect those applying for adjustment of status?
Yes, it does. The cutoff dates affects those outside the U.S. and also those in the U.S. And you will still look at the cutoff date to determine whether you can file. So if you look at the visa bulletin, I think the priority date now is what? Therese, no, it's what is the
Visa bulletin, attorney.
This one. Yeah, the priority date now is
Okay, we're checking on that. So we have 3 more questions. Feel free to
Yes.
ask more
the
questions.
priority date now is December 1, 2021.
Mm.
Okay. So if your I-140 priority date is December 2021 or before that, then you can be called for your interview at the consulate, or you can file your adjustment of status in the U.S. So it affects, to answer his question, it affects both.
The adjustment of status.
Yeah, whether you're in the U.S. or not.
Thank you for your question, Randy. We hope we've answered that. Next question, attorney, from Arman Lloyd Mejia. For TN visa holder, are we affected too with retrogression with our green card application?
Yes. But on TN, you're already in the States and you can legally work based on your TN visa. So you're not in a really bad situation
Right.
compared to those who are outside.
Got it. Next question. Thank you, Arman. From Inday Barrera. Do you assist applicants on filing adjustment of status for those who are already in the U.S.?
Yes, I do.
Yes, Inday. Reach out to Attorney Carmen for that one.
Growing up, I was also in Inday. That's what my
Oh, Inday. Yeah. That is our term of endearment here, diba? Inday. Thank you, Inday Barrera. Now we have from Nans Arat. Attorney, I went back to Canada. Would my application be reset under TN visa?
Nancy, how are you? You can always call me, but anyway, this is weird. You are in Canada. You could have called me in the States, but now you're talking to me while I'm in Cebu. So, no. So you come. I'm not sure where you are. Is she still in Canada? She went back to Canada.
Yeah, I went back to Canada. That's what she mentioned
So,
here.
That 90 days that you're talking, I think that's your question. No, we don't have to wait 90 days anymore. We will file your I-140 the moment you come back to the States. If I haven't filed it yet. So you just call me in the office.
Oh, just call Attorney Carmen daw in the office, Miss
It's a very
Nancy.
specific question.
Oh, I see. So, Attorney, I'd like to revert back to my question. Are dates changing?
Yes, so let's go back to the tracker. Let me see.
Oh, Nancy is in. How do we pronounce?
Minot.
I keep forgetting. Minot. She's in Minot now.
Hi, Nancy. Don't worry, I will file your I-140 if I haven't filed it yet. Okay, but I'll talk to you when I get back on the 11th. Okay,
Minot.
so this is heavy stuff.
Okay, everyone, come on, listen. This is heavy stuff.
So let's go all the way down. So people were panicking because
Right.
in July 2024, you looked at that, I already highlighted that. The visa bulletin retrogressed, moved back. In June, it was November 22, 2022. You guys see that?
Yeah.
And then in July, it moved to December 1, 2021. So everyone was
Oh.
really sad about it, right? Before that, it was moving backwards, but not so much. You just move 1 month, 2 months,
Right.
3 months, and then all of a sudden, between June and July, it moved for over a year. One year, kapilgit mark. No? So it was a little concerning. But the reason why we're so nervous is that we have had it so easy for the last 3 years. If you look at in 2023 April and all the way back to October 2020. See that? The visas have always been available. Current. So we had it nice and easy, and then all of a sudden in 2023 we had that cutoff date. So I'm gonna speak Bisaya. Nag-uul gid ang tanan. Nag-uul
Everyone's
gid silang
worried.
tanan. Because kung ano man nga, nindot na kayong atong pagkabutang diri.
Yeah.
Kanya ni kalit lang o kanang retrogress.
Right.
Can you please translate?
Everything went well. Wow, very good translation. Everything went well, then all of a sudden, retrogression happened. Boom.
Yes. But if you look at it historically, and I don't mean to scare you, Mark, if you look at this, so we tried to go back. I'm going to go back all the way to 2014, 10 years ago. Look at in 2014. In June 2014, there was a 7-year
7-year gap.
Whoa.
gap,
Yeah.
right? So what I'm saying is retrogression is a fact of life. The most important thing is you have your priority date,
Right.
take your NCLEX, file your I-140, and then you wait your place in line. So 2014, but if you notice, the fiscal year of USCIS starts in October.
Right.
So historically also, every October, ma-improve na siya gamay.
Okay.
Translate yun.
So every October it will improve.
A little.
Katulong- A little bit.
Yeah.
Katulong
So
ang
look at
pagkakita.
October 2014, between September and October 2014, it moved a little bit, right? In 2015, look, in September 2015, it moved 3 years between September and October 2015, if you see that. So it moves back and forth. Therese was saying, Panos ka, Therese, when were you? October 2007. That was the first super veteran, right?
Oh yeah,
2007.
veteran.
Yeah, it's not even in my graph. But
Miss Therese is the veteran.
The second time. Okay. All right. But you talked about that time where it moved. Yeah.
This was the 2015 attorney. When
2015.
it
Look
was
how-
current, and then like 3 weeks after, or was it a month after, there was a retrogression.
Yeah. So yeah, that was crazy. April 2015. Yeah, it moved back. So that's just a fact of life, and I don't mean to scare you, but as I said, we're here to tell the truth. You know, number one, and number two, to let you know that we are aware of your anxieties and your worries and everything. And Greendoor, I worry so much, but I try my best to always communicate and be that person between the employers
And the nurses.
So there are 3 people involved here, no party smart.
Right.
We have the employers who are worried.
Oh,
We have
exactly.
the nurses who are worried, and we have here the Greendoor who's trying to bridge both parties.
Right. Let's just remember there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. Diba? O diba, I used pa the idiomatic expression. Anyway, we have another question from Sheng Kads, attorney. Hello, attorney. We are under T and visa from Canada. How can Canadians cope up the retrogression? If our 3-year contract with Trinity completed and still waiting for the approval of our green card and retrogression is still on, what will be the possible outcome for that? Can you give us insights?
Yes, so your contract could be 2 years or 3 years. You fulfill that contract, right? So once you're done with the 2 years or 3 years, you're free to go.
Right.
But if when your priority date becomes current, I advise you have to file your I-485.
I-485.
Yeah, you have to adjust. So you have to go back to your employer and work there again. Not the full 2 years of your contract or 3 years, but for a certain period of time, I would suggest at least 6 months.
At least
Case to
6
case,
months.
talk to me. But yeah, because of retrogression, your time as a TN could be longer than your contract period.
Oh.
Right. But as long as you fulfill that contract, you're free to go.
Ayan. Sheng, so if you have more details, you want to get the nitty-gritty of your question, please feel free to message attorney or Greendoor for more details of your question. We have 2 more questions, attorney, over here. Let's start with Ellie Yang. Hello, attorney. Good morning po. Pwede po, it's Tagalog. Hold on, attorney. Pwede po mag-ask, possible din po ba mag-work sa ibang bansa while waiting po mag-current? Di po ba yan nakaka-affect sa contract? I think we've answered that, but please explain further.
Ikaw, Therese. Ikaw, anak.
I think in the past retrogressions of 2007, 2008, that is exactly what the nurses did. So many of my friends, some went to Europe, some went to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, one went to Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and then while waiting out the 5 to 6 year retrogression at that time,
Yeah.
they were there, and then as their priority date comes near, they didn't come back to the Philippines anymore. Attorney, they can have their interviews and
Yes.
abroad already, Is that possible, attorney?
Yes, I would say that more than 50% of our nurses are outside the Philippines. Yes. So they are waiting outside and they can apply for their visas at the consulate where they are.
So it doesn't affect, in her second question,
It
di
does
po ba
not-
nakaka-affect sa
It does not
contract?
affect your contract.
Okay.
So any changes in employment, we can update that when we reach the National Visa Center stage, the NVC stage. That's when you update your employment. Although not asked, that's also when we update, if you get married while waiting, if you have children while waiting, if you get divorced. In some countries, you can divorce while waiting. All that is okay, and we will update that at the time of the NVC stage.
Very good to hear. We hope we've answered your question, Ellie. Another question from Inday. Hi, attorney. How can we go from holding a tourist visa to green card while in the US?
That's almost to go straight from a tourist to a green card is impossible because the waiting time is too long, and you're on a tourist, you're only given 6 months, right, Inday? So what's going to happen is that it's impossible to go straight from B to tourist to green card. So what people usually do is once you get there, you come in as a tourist and you change status to a student. That's possible. So tourist, student, green card, possible. Tourist, work visa, H-1B, green card, that's possible. But not straight tourist to green card.
Right.
Make sense?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I'd like to get insights as well from Ms. Carol. So, in terms of going back to the question about traveling while waiting, in terms of licensing, it doesn't affect, or any tips or recommendations to those who are waiting in the waiting period?
Well, during the if you're gonna wait for your employment, it doesn't really affect the licensing so long as it is valid. Your license is still valid.
Okay.
That's where we come in actually. Nurse Pro, we handle the renewal for the licenses, right? If you are outside of the country and your license does expire, we can assist you with that. You don't need to submit any requirements. We will check your CGFNS account, your school records. We can check that for you.
But you have to stick with the contract. Let's say you have a contract for 3 years. Your employment is for 3 years and you are undergoing retrogression. You're waiting for your employment in the US.
Yes.
You can work outside of the country. You can work anywhere in Dubai, in London, wherever. So long as you stick, once you are ready to be employed, you stick with the contract and you go to the US.
I see.
So at least Nurse Pro US is also there to help us out.
Yes.
We also advise we also like give updates to our applicants, the status of their current application, like for the visa screen or for the license endorsements. We give them updates as well. So even if they're like working another job while waiting to be employed or waiting for their license to be approved, we give them updates. So yeah. Thank you, Miss Carol.
I would like to add,
Yes,
you know,
attorney,
an
please.
additional, consideration there is if you work outside, say you go to Dubai, you go to London, the requirement is that you have to provide your police reports for every country where you live for more than 6 months. So yeah, before you move and move to another country, make sure that you obtain that police report because the National Visa Center will require that.
Oh, it is
Yeah, police clearance.
like primary requirement to attorney.
Required yun na siya sa Department of State.
Oh, so that's one. Attorney, I'd like to raise this question. I think we also have viewers who might be interested in this, in the answer to this question. So, when I filed for my I-140, I was working in a hospital. No, now I am employed in the BPO industry. Will this affect my employment later on?
It depends on what work you have with the BPO. I'm gonna throw this question to Mark because actually, Mark, you used to work at the hospital and now you work for.
Yeah, I work an office job now.
So what kind of work do you do now? Sa BPO?
We look at charts. We communicate with nurses in the US, specifically home health nurses. We look at their charts. We quality assurance the charts, make sure everything's accurate. We look at patients. We pre-fill. These are called OASIS charts. And so, yeah, we just kind of look over that, communicate with them, facilitate the charting because all of it's online. They use the online charting system. So, yeah, that's basically the gist of my job.
Right. And Therese, that's a considered nursing practice, no?
I think it will depend on the employer because there are some employers that they specify recent bedside experience. So, well, you can work in the BPO, but say your priority date is approaching, you need to get a certificate of employment. Sometimes the US employer looks for that, or they need to at least see that there's proof that you had bedside experience. So
It depends then.
depends,
But
yeah.
for Mark's purposes, and you are going to Minot, North Dakota requires that you have to have at least 400 hours of licensed nurse experience in the last 4 years. So I think the context of your work will qualify. Yes.
So it depends, attorney, on the employer. If they need a certain duration worth na bedside experience.
Yes, and in fact, there are other employers that they don't allow you to resign from your hospital job or recent bedside experience right up to the point of your departure or something
I don't agree
like
with
that.
that though,
Because
you
they
know,
were just want to assure attorney
right,
that
sure, but you
have
you
the
also have
pressure.
to financially prepare for
Right.
for your move
Of course.
to the States, you know, right? How much is we can talk about salaries of nurses
And
here.
realistically, we won't be able to save that much money if we
Yes,
keep working.
correct.
Yes. And my suggestion is around, and probably you guys will not like it, you have to bring about 8,000 pocket money to help you start.
US dollars.
US, yes.
Right.
Although Therese, back in the day, you guys, how much did you bring?
many nurses survive on a $1,500 pocket money, or even I have a friend who survived on an $800
Wow.
initial
Back
baon
then.
some years back. Because well, depends on the employer. Because as attorney said, there are provisions or benefits. Like
Yeah.
some employers provide housing,
Right.
sign-on bonus. Attorney,
Mark has a good sign-on
sign-on
bonus.
bonus,
Wow.
and free transportation. Maybe they'll give you a car
So
rental.
that really helps out.
Yeah, until you get your first salary, which
Yeah.
I think, attorney, this also depends on the employer. If upon arrival, they will give you a salary already, or is there a paid training, or how is it?
Well, the practical thing is that when you go to the States, say, Mark, you arrive tomorrow and you go as a green card holder, right? It takes 2 weeks for you to get your Social Security. Right? Without Social Security, you can't work yet. So, you have to find a way to live during those 2 weeks. But not only that, 2 weeks Social Security, and then you have to endorse your license from
Texas.
your license from Texas to North Dakota, which will probably take around a month siguro.
Oh.
So, realistically, then you will need you won't be working for 2 months, right? So that's why you need your baon.
Right.
And then also you may want to buy a car.
Over there.
Yes, because it depends. If you're assigned to New York or you go to LA, you can do away with not having a car. But if you're sent to places like North Dakota, North Carolina,
It's important to have a car
the
there.
South, you need a car. So what does that mean, Therese? Do you need to be driving already while you are here?
Yeah, they have to learn how to drive, get your driver's license, and then,
They can do that while waiting, attorney.
Yes.
yeah,
Perfect.
because the Philippine driver's license, if I'm not mistaken, is valid for 1 year in the US. So while you did not yet pass the state
Driver's
driver's
Test.
examination,
Mhm.
you can use your Philippine license. I think if I'm not mistaken, it's 12 months valid.
I'm not sure about it depends on the state, right? But one advantage of you learning how to drive while you're still waiting is that the premium on your car insurance will depend on your experience as a driver. So your experience here counts. So maybe your premium will be less.
Well, at least they have like that 2-month span, attorney, to prepare to transition, diba? It's a new environment, diba?
Right.
So, they have time naman to, baka people might think na when they're already there, immediately work agad. So, at least they have time to transition pa, to prepare. Ayan.
Yeah, but the time to transition also involves costs. So I think this is what attorney is talking about, the baon, the financial preparation that
Yeah.
especially
So, it's important to have the baon talaga.
especially if you have your whole family with you. You have like 5 kids,
Right.
6 kids, 3 kids, and they have to go to school.
Exactly.
And they have to have winter clothes or clothing that suits the
Food
weather.
pa. So, attorney, $8,000 per person, is that like rough estimate na baon?
Right, that's my estimate. I mean, it's not per person. If you have family,
Of
you can
course,
probably
oo.
add a little bit more, but not exactly 8 per person.
You'd be safe if, let's say, you can save $8,000
Yes,
na.
I think so. If 5,000 maybe you can.
Mm-mm.
You can
I'd like to read this tip from Glenn Fontanilla. He's in Trinity Health, right,
Yes.
attorney? Ito, tip for Mark. Usually, orientation sa Trinity every first week of the month para maplan mo yung SSN processing and license endorsement. 2 weeks for SSN and 2 to 3 weeks for license endorsement.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Anything to say to
Thank you,
Glenn?
Sir Glenn. I appreciate the advice. I
Perfect
think
advice.
Sir Glenn is already in Trinity.
Yeah,
I
so we
believe.
have about, I don't know, Glenn, do we have maybe 10 nurses there now? Yes.
From Greendoor, yes. Thank you so much. Please care to share more tips, messages, Sir Glenn, and any of our nurses, Greendoor nurses, to those who are asking questions as well. You can help us answer their questions there. Anything else to discuss, attorney? Any important information, Miss Karil, from the group?
About the driver's license, attorney,
Yes,
they
go
could
ahead.
actually
Yes.
get an international driver's license. I think there's an office here in Cebu that your Philippine driver's license, although it might be valid for a few months, attorney, you can actually acquire an international driver's license, which you can use in other parts of the world, US included, for, I don't know, maybe 3 years. There's an office here in Cebu that processes international driver's license.
Ayan. Thank you so much. I have a question just now, attorney, from Inday Barrera. Another question. How long will it take to adjust status from tourist to H-1B? H-1B.
H-1B,
Mm-mm.
the H-1B visa numbers are also limited. You can apply every year in February. So if you're there now, you are past the deadline. That's why I suggest you have to switch to another visa first to kind of bridge. It's very complicated, Inday, but so I would say 2 years.
2 years, roughly 2 years.
Okay.
Yes, Ms. Therese.
This is a question of some other nurses. Like, because of the retrogression and the delay that they might get in applying for the EB3 visa, is it possible for a nurse to get a working visa, H1B?
A lot of our nurses are going to the States on an H1B visa. It is available for those that are in highly specialized units.
ICU, step
yes,
down.
not necessarily for just general nurses. That's possible. It depends on the employer.
Ayan. Thank you so much for that question, Miss. I know a lot of people would like to know about that. Attorney, can we also talk about the immigration process, the one we have right now?
Okay. So this chart shows you that there are 3 agencies involved in the immigration process. The chart.
Yes, that one.
Okay.
Mhm.
The 3, you have the U.S. Department of Labor, the USCIS, and then finally steps 3 and 4 are agencies of the Department of State. Retrogression affects number 4.
Number 4.
Yes. So number 1, even with Greendoor and other employers, we're still continuing to hire. Most important thing is to go to step 2 because it is in step 2 where you get your priority date. Mark, that's where you are. So you have your priority date. You have your place in line. You're just waiting. Yeah. So I think that's the purpose we have this, is to show, retrogression. Even with retrogression, our work continues. You're only affected at step 4.
Ayan.
Okay. I don't think we need to do that anymore. We're good.
So, attorney, are there additional requirements? Ms. Therese can also answer. What are the additional requirements and how do I proceed if you have a child while waiting for the visa? Are there additional requirements? Of course, you have children na. Ingon ana. Are there additional requirements for that?
Well, before the visa interview, of course, the whole family will undergo the physical exam, attorney, right? So not only the nurse, but the spouse, the kids, everybody will undergo the what you call this, the physical exam at the clinic in Manila, which is the designated, and they should pass the physical exam.
At the NVC stage, we have to add your newly acquired spouse or new children. We will add all of that at the NVC stage. Step 2.
Step 2.
Step 3, so that they will get to the interview, and at the interview, then they will have to get all their physicals.
So it has to be frequently updated, Jud attorney.
So my advice is, guys, I always email you. You get an email from the law office. You get an email from Greendoor. Please respond so that we can continuously monitor. I know our nurses are very busy.
Of course.
So just try to keep us updated.
Attorney, regarding the kids, no, with this retrogression that will take maybe some years, what about the kids that are turning 21 or?
Yeah, good question.
How will they get
affected? So this is a very complex area. It's called there's what you call the Child Status Protection Act, and so as long as you reach a certain stage, the age of your child will be frozen and will stay under 21. So each case is different. We have to really work together with the law office so that we make sure that that child's age is frozen, if possible. But there will be cases where they will age out.
You ask about preparations, no?
Yes.
So I think it's just maybe just a small tip that they have to prepare all the vaccinations of their children,
Yeah.
not to throw away the vaccination, and from COVID to the chicken pox and all those things, they need a card.
Ayan. Thank you so much for the tip, Ms. Therese. Any more questions? Please comment below before we wrap it up. And can I have like a round table na lang, tips, advices for all our viewers? This time we start with Mark, last attorney. Mark, Therese, Miss Caril, and anything to plug in, then Attorney. Mark?
As an active nurse that's actively going through retrogression right now, I wouldn't worry too much about it because it's really not in our control. So just keep busy, save up for, baons when you go to the States, and just keep like they said, like, just don't give up.
Thank you, Mark. Miss Therese?
Thank you to attorney for explaining the retrogression.
Right.
Many of the nurses are kind of looking for answers, and there's not much information about retrogression. Many think that upon passing the NCLEX, you go.
Goods na. Yeah,
And
exactly.
We try to explain that it takes
There's a process.
years. Even if it's current, you will need experience and taking exams and everything. So this
Yeah.
has to be understood so that there will be
Expectations will be set.
Yes. So they thought that the minute you pass the NCLEX, go.
Yeah.
So
That's what
hopefully,
I thought said nga.
No,
So
no,
it's a
no.
good thing that we got this cleared up for
we
those who
need-
are listening as
yes.
well, right?
So with the retrogression, they should just be patient, and the day will come.
Patience is a virtue. Miss Caril, yes, please. Thank you, Miss Therese.
So I just want to add something. During this retrogression, our applicants just really need to look out for the validity of their license and also their visa screen. For those that I don't think everyone knows this, but the visa screen is only valid for 5 years. Yes. And then so when it expires, you may renew it 6 months prior to the validity, or 6 months after the expiration date, sorry. And I don't know if, like, after the expiration, I think you have to pay full payment again to process it. Full payment for the visa screen is, I think it's $740. Yes. And also, when your license expires, really all you need to do is renew it, so long as the state that you're going into does not require a social security number. But if it does require a social security number, you will need to travel to that state first before you acquire your SSN. Yan. And also, just to add this, lastly, Nurse Pro US, we do have an affiliate English review center partner, that's Einstein. If you avail our IELTS or PTE English exam review, we will endorse you to them. So, yeah.
Thank you, Miss Caril. Of course, attorney, any parting words before we end to our viewers?
I'm very thankful to all of us who are here today. I know it can be challenging, but we lean on to gratitude, right? That will help us overcome the hurdles and the challenges that we face. Also, I want to say hi to my partners, Mike and Joanne and Camille, who are not here. I wish you guys were here. Always thankful for them. My role, I think, is to really just make sure that employers and nurses are very clear-eyed on what this process entails.
Yeah.
We don't try to oversell, and that is, I think, is key. We're in this together. Hopefully, we will overcome this retrogression.
Thank you, attorney. Attorney, do we have anything coming up?
Yes. Okay. What is coming up? We have a TN event, which is coming up on July 19. TN event. It will be live online, Facebook, I think, on July 19. And then also we're continuing to look for TNs for our opportunity in Aztec, New Mexico. It's a 2-year contract. It's gonna go really quickly. So please consider it.
So for more details, send us a message in our Greendoor Facebook page. Ayan. Questions, definitely just send it in our Greendoor Facebook page. Attorney Carmen will be answering them for you.
Yes.
Ayan. So, it is a gloomy weather here in Cebu, but let us lift our spirits up. Thank you so much. A round of applause to everyone. It was a very good discussion. If you have more questions, don't worry. Please send them on our Facebook page. Follow us on our Facebook page. Please share this video as well to your friends, to your family, or to your nurse co-workers. That's very helpful. We have very helpful discussion today. Again, thank you for joining us today. My name is Julie, and have a great day, everyone. Ingat! Thank you.
Hey guys, we're here in Aztec, New Mexico. This is an exciting moment for our nurses. We have Mr. Al here. Thank you so much, Mr. Al, for welcoming us here. Tell them the good news. Tell them the good news.
Well, the good news is if you guys come out to our facility here at Aztec, we have an apartment for you. So that means that if you came out here, you won't have to pay rent.
Wow.
You won't have light bills. You won't have like you have phone because you have your cell phone, but you don't have a hard line. You don't have heating. We got the microwave. We got the washer. You don't have to wash. You got a washer at our apartment. They're gonna take you for a tour.